Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening for another one of our wonderful and hopefully helpful virtual sessions for you this evening. My name is Kate Byer. I'm one of the Senior Associate Directors in our admissions office, and I'll be helping run the show tonight with my colleague Jenna. First, we want to take a second to congratulate all of our admitted students. If you haven't heard from congratulations from us yet, but thank you so much. We're so excited about the idea of you maybe joining our community. We obviously know housing is a very important topic and one that students and families always have a lot of questions about. So we're happy to have you all join us here tonight to learn a little bit more about housing options and how things work at HWS. If you could all stay muted, that would be great. Like all of our other sessions, we are recording these. So in case someone misses one, we will post them on our YouTube channel, and you'll have the ability to view all of our previous sessions, or people that aren't on the chance to get on this one can view it. We are happy to have you drop questions in the chat. We are happy to have you message me. I think probably, well, you can message me or Jenna, either one of us if you have a question that you don't want to be open in the chat. And then if you're really brave at the end and you want to come off mute, then you are also welcome when Jenna's done speaking to ask questions that way as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the wonderful Jenna to introduce herself and tell us a little bit more about housing.
Hi, everyone. It is so nice to see everybody. My name is Jenna Terrell. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Director of Housing and Residence Life here at Hobart and William Smith. Excited to spend a few minutes tonight with everybody talking through some of our different housing options and kind of what it means to live on campus as a first-year student, as well as a returning student here at HWS, and hopefully get all of your questions answered. So as many of you as possible can be excited to come and join our community this upcoming fall. So we here at Hobart and William Smith, we are a 4-year residential institution. So we guarantee housing for all 4 years of a student being here at HWS. We also do have a handful of master's classes as well that those students, if they would like to live on campus, can. But as a first-year student, our first-year students, when they live on campus, live in a plethora of our traditional residence halls here on campus. We have designated buildings specifically for our first-year students. So that way they all get to engage in the residential experience of HWS together. They get to transition to school together. They get to take classes together and kind of lean on one another so they can learn about what it means to be a college student here at HWS. We have students who can live in, we have all gender spaces as well as single gender spaces, depending on which type of housing the student is most interested in and most comfortable in, depending on what sort of experience that they're looking for. What happens is over the summer, students are sent a to-do list of a plethora of different items that they have to accomplish. One of those being filling out their new student housing application. On that new student housing application, it gives them a copy of our housing agreement so they can understand kind of what the expectations are for living here on campus. And then it asks them a handful of questions about what sort of residential experience they are looking for. So it'll ask them questions about what their preference is in terms of single gender or all gender. It'll ask them if they want to live in a space that is guaranteed to be substance free. It will ask them questions about also their living preferences as it has to do with a roommate. So it gives them some time to start thinking about what sort of room that they want to create with their roommate. So it asks them questions about, do they plan to use their room mostly for socializing? Do they want to use the room mostly for studying? A combination of both? Are they a morning person or a night person? How often are they going to clean? It's one of my favorite questions. We ask them, how often are you going to clean? You keep your space clean, or you're just going to clean when your parents visit, or someplace in between? So it gives them the opportunity to kind of think through the sort of community that they want to create, and then they can actually use the responses to those questions in our housing system to kind of search for other roommates that may have similar goals for how they want to use that space. Um, we will then take that information and either work with the roommate pairings that students may have found themselves, or we use responses to those questions if the student would prefer to have a random roommate that we would select for them. Our students, when they live on campus, like I said, we have single gender and all gender buildings. They will live, they will be assigned a roommate. We believe, as part of our liberal arts education, that having a roommate, especially your first year, really does help with that transition. You have a built-in study buddy, a built-in friend, a built-in person to ask questions, to figure out how to navigate campus. So they can either kind of identify that roommate on their own. Perhaps they're coming in on a sports team and really want to live with one of their teammates, or they met somebody at admitted student day and they hit it right off and they want to be roommates. Or they can choose to let us kind of pick their roommate based on the information they put in their application. Another thing that we have is students can, based on their first year seminar, some of our students may opt to live in a living learning community or an LLC. We can call them both. We love acronyms here in housing. Um, so a living learning community is an opportunity where everybody that is living on their floor is in the same first year seminar course as them. And that first year seminar course is actually taught right there on the floor. There is a classroom on the floor that during the day is a classroom, and then at nighttime it is a lounge, hangout, study space. Um, if you want to talk about being guaranteed to get to class on time, there's nothing like having your class 30 feet away at 8:30 in the morning. Walk on right on down. Students who opt to live in that sort of environment really find that it's really, really cool to be able to experience one of their classes right there where they live, with their roommate, with the friends down the hall that they've made, and then they have that space to then engage in more learning after. Some of those FSEM courses are related to some specific majors. Some of those are more humanities or sociology based. We also have the opportunity for students. We have a personal empowerment course that is taught here, that is a credit bearing course that helps students kind of learn about reducing stress and reducing anxiety, um, figuring out ways to be more mindful and feel prepared. So there is a question on the new student housing application if students are interested in being in our living learning community that is called Empowered Beginnings, where they can participate in the personal empowerment class right there on the floor, where they continue to live. I know that Kate has access to a link that goes to our website that you can actually peruse and get to know a little bit more about each of our residence halls, that she's happy to add into the chat if you haven't found it yet. That will walk through all of the different residence halls that we have on campus. We break our campus up into neighborhoods. So there are neighborhoods, pockets of buildings throughout campus, and we have first year buildings specifically in a couple of those neighborhoods. Some of the buzzword residence halls where our students may reside as first-year students. We have what our students call our mega dorm, which is Jackson, Potter, and Reese. The buildings are all nearly identical on the inside. They are attached by stairwells in between. That is where most of our living learning communities reside, where students of all genders can live on the same floor, take class on the floor, and experience that sort of environment. We have Hershon Hall, and you can find that on our website. Hershon Hall is an all-female residence hall that is also available for first-year students. Durfee Hall is an all-male hall available for first-year students. And then we also have Sherrill Hall. Sherrill Hall is gender by floor, just based on how the bathrooms are set up, with a couple of living learning communities in that space as well. I can keep going, or I'm happy to answer questions, whichever way makes the most sense, Kate.
Sure. Well, since someone threw one in the chat, do you want to just clarify substance free in light of local and state laws?
So technically, technically all first-year spaces are substance-free, given the fact that students who are residing in those spaces are under the age of 21, which is the legal drinking age in New York as well as across the United States. Some of our students choose to opt into a substance-free space. It just adds an extra feeling of knowing that the other people who are living on that floor also believe in having a substance-free community and space. And so it gives them a little extra calmness in recognizing that the other people on that floor also agree to have that substance-free lifestyle.
Jenna, have you all chosen the living learning communities? You haven't yet, right? For the fall?
The Living Learning Community FSEMs, so one of the things that students will do over the summer, so they will complete their new student housing application. Another thing that they will do is they will rank first-year seminar courses. So there's a lot of first-year seminar courses that aren't living learning communities, and there are a handful that are. I believe that there are 8 living learning communities. They will be designated very specifically on that breakdown of first-year seminar courses to let you know which ones have that living learning component and which ones are taught in a regular classroom.
Right. So the link that I just put in there gives you a little bit more overview about it. It shows you the 6 that were offered last fall, but when your student goes to complete their form, if they matriculate with us, it will identify the different topics. Can a varsity athlete live in a learning community?
Absolutely. Any of our first-year students can live in a living learning community. It's more directed towards the fact that that first-year seminar course is taught on that floor, that faculty member comes to the floor. But our varsity athlete practices are funneled around when they have class. So whatever time that they're spending on the field, on the court, wherever they might be, is completely separate. We have athletes living in living learning communities. We have athletes living in single gender, all gender, every place across the first year locations.
Can you just speak to a little bit more, because that's always a big topic, and someone asked about athletes, I think fall athletes in particular, right? Because they come in a little bit earlier, but what the process is for, like, do they live together? Do they not? Are they their same teammates? Are they different?
Yeah. So it largely honestly depends on the athletic team. There are some coaches who find a lot of value in having teammates live together. You have an extra accountability buddy to make sure that you're up for weightlifting to make sure you're going to study halls and getting your homework done. There are other athletic teams that find value in you finding your own roommate. So if you are interested in residing with another athlete, highly recommend you talk with your coach. The coach is a huge help in being able to navigate. They know all of the players on your team, so they would be able to help kind of identify who an appropriate roommate on your team might be. If you're also looking for residing with another varsity athlete, but perhaps you're not interested in living with a teammate, we do have an open-ended question on the new student housing application where you can share anything with us that you believe would be helpful for us to know. I have seen things on that application from coming in as a William Smith basketball player, really want to live with another athlete, not on the basketball team, to telling me how much they love a particular TV show and they really want to live with somebody else who is really um, interested in TV, video games, what have you. So if there's anything that would help us kind of identify the most successful place for you to live, that open-ended question is fully there and accessible for you.
Great, great. If you're okay, can I just throw some more of these questions at
Keep
you? Okay,
going.
awesome. Our first year dorms, are they doubles? Are there triples? Can you talk a little bit about what students typically get?
Yeah, so most of the rooms in our first year residence halls are going to be double occupancy rooms, so you with one other roommate. There are a handful of triples. Those triples are likely to be in particular residence halls, especially Hershon. And then there are some buildings, so Jackson Potter Reese and Durfee Hall, that have suite style. And by suite style, what I mean is that it is 2 or 3 double bedrooms with a common space that is shared with those rooms. So you and your roommate share a bedroom, and then outside of your bedroom is a common space that you can study, hang out, do whatever you would like in. But for the most part, it is going to be double occupancy rooms.
Great. Um, can a student with ADHD request a single? Must they have a roommate their first year?
So we do recognize that some students are coming to college in need of particular accommodations, whether inside of the classroom or outside of the classroom. Kate, if you can find it, there is if you search HWS Disability Services, it should come up that there is a website that walks you through. Um, there is a committee and an office that reviews all academic and non-academic accommodations. So should a student need extra time on a test, need to take a test elsewhere, should they need first floor access or a single room or access to a kitchen, whatever those disability medical related needs might be, those all go through our non-academic accommodation committee. There is a requirement for paperwork from a medical professional and for the student themselves to submit that request. Those are all due by June 15th. So if there is anything that a student may need from a non-academic standpoint, we ask that that gets submitted both by the student and the medical professional for full review, so that way we can make sure that should they need something like a single room, we do have that managed and taken care of.
Great. How are students monitored in dorm life? So you want to talk about who lives with them on their floors?
Yeah, so we have a phenomenal group of community assistants that we hire. You may have heard them called RAs at some schools. We call them CAs. It stands for community assistants. Those are upper class students that are trained to be a safety, comfort, resource support for students living in our residence halls. They are one of the first people that you meet and that your student meets on move-in day. They have a floor meeting with them right on that first night. They are there with their door wide open for whatever question your student may have. They are well trained and well rehearsed in every single resource that we have on campus. No question is too small. No question is too stupid. They are really good at, it's the first day of class and it says I have a class in Cox Hall. Where is it? To my mom said I need to get more Tylenol. Where can I do that on campus? They can answer any question. They also provide opportunities for community development and programming. So there may be movie nights or trivia nights or opportunities for clubs and organizations to come into the residence halls to give the students some things to do, to meet one another, and to really engage with our community. They also help to monitor the halls on a safety standpoint. So on the weekends, they actually are available in their office and do rounds of all of our residence halls just to make sure that things are safe and are comfortable, especially going into the weekends on campus.
Great. Would you say students typically go random when selecting a roommate? Do you think a majority of them find a roommate on their own? I mean, what's kind of the breakdown, you think?
Um, Over the last couple of years, I would honestly say it's pretty 50-50. Our athletes tend to really find a roommate ahead of time, recognizing that they prefer to live with somebody who kind of understands their early morning and late night routines. Um, and then we have a good chunk of students who end up via social media and admitted students days finding a roommate. But for every one of those, we also have some that like to kind of let us do our thing and find them a random roommate. And then the first time they actually meet that person is after they're told, here's your roommate, here's the room you're living in. And then they start connecting.
Great. Um, do you want to talk a little bit about, I did put in your living with a roommate website, but how can students best adjust to living with roommate, community style living? I know we joke a lot of the times students don't have to share rooms as much anymore, right? So any tips around that?
One of my favorite tips is all about being able to connect before you even step on campus. The ability to share phone numbers, FaceTime, have phone calls, follow each other on social media. Some students are really cute and they'll show up and they and their roommate have talked and they have matching comforters and have picked out all of the posters so it feels like home within their room. Um, it can be a little scary on move-in day when everything is so new to also have meeting your roommate be a brand new experience. We will, throughout the month of July and August leading into the start of the academic year, we'll send out some newsletters from our office with some additional tips and tricks of questions to ask your roommate, things to pack and prepare for your time here, so that way the student feels really well equipped before they even step foot on campus. Something else that we do once the student is here, so one of the first things that they'll do is they will have a floor meeting with everyone else who lives on the floor, and it's hosted by their CA. And they will actually be able to introduce themselves to everyone else on the floor and already start to make connections with other people who live on the floor, so it feels a little bit more like home. And then about a week into the semester, we also give all of the rooms in our first year residence halls a roommate contract, an opportunity to kind of talk through a lot of the common questions that come up about living in a community with somebody else. How do we share things? Do we share things? What do we agree upon in terms of guests in our room? Those sorts of questions, so they can have those open dialogue conversations so they can make sure whatever makes sense in their room can be established. So that way they feel like they are sharing within that space and within that community.
Great. I see the dates for freshman orientation online. When do you suggest students move in?
So move-in day is that Wednesday of orientation, that last Wednesday of August.
August
Um,
27th.
I'm still in spring mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
27th.
Yep. August 27th. That's
Haha.
the
So move-in day for new students is that Wednesday, August 27th. Um, the students have the entire morning. Well, they will come to campus with their parent, their guardian, their friend, whoever is bringing them. We have it the minute you step foot on campus, you have our orientation team cheering and welcoming you. You get matriculated under our tent where you get to shake the hand of President Guerin. You get to be connected to a whole bunch of resources. At the end of the resource tent is when you pick up your key. You then take your car over to your residence hall where you are greeted by more orientation leaders who will actually bring in all of your items to your room. So you don't even have to lift a finger on that move-in day. You then have a few hours to get settled in that space before more orientation things happen in the afternoon. And then in the evening, parents and guardians say goodbye, and the students go to do some really awesome events that evening to then start meeting their new friends that they have now joined at HWS.
Okay. So many questions. Let's go. Um, is all housing on campus? How do they differ from year to year, the dorms?
So yes, all of our housing is on campus. What I do want you to recognize is the unique structure and environment that our campus sits on. So some of the streets that our residence halls are on are technically city streets, so they feel like off campus. There are a ton of our small houses right on the lake, sweet spot for students. Um, we actually have over 40 different residential buildings here on campus. So your first year, you live in a traditional residence hall. And then after that, your sophomore year on, you have the opportunity to be in the driver's seat and pick which sort of residential experience you're interested in. So starting your sophomore year, you can apply and be a CA and actually participate and be one of those people that helps in our residence halls. We then have traditional residence halls, suite style residence halls. We have our Odell's townhouses for our juniors and our seniors, which is a very independent living style where you live in a fully furnished apartment. We have a handful of Greek houses for fraternities and sororities, as well as my pride and joy. I think it's a really cool thing about HWS is we have um, this upcoming year, there will be 18 theme houses. Our theme houses are, as you would expect, they are actual houses. So they're not traditional residence halls, and they fit anywhere from 6 to 26 students in them. Those students actually apply to live in these theme houses because they're interested in the theme and the mission of that house, where they can live with other people in those more small knit communities that are interested in those same things. The themes are student driven. So some themes stay every year, some themes change throughout the years depending on student interests. We have identity-based houses, academic-based houses. There are some houses that are club and organization-based, such as ORAP, which is our outdoor house for people who love to kayak and mountain climb. And there's another house related on honors and heritage. So it's more of an honors-based house for people who are more academically inclined. It runs the gamut. Starting sophomore year, students can reside in any of those different types of spaces.
Great. Okay. What is the policy for transgender students?
If So we want to make sure that you are residing in a space that is comfortable and aligns with your gender identity. So oftentimes, if comfortable, students will let us know in the open-ended question on the application if they're comfortable to let us know of whatever that gender identity might be. We will actually give you a call and talk through what type of roommate or residential location is going to feel best for you. Depending on your particular preferences, we will take your lead on that.
What about accommodations for students with food allergies?
So also on the link that Kate sent about the non-academic accommodations, there are residential accommodations, and then there are meal plan related accommodations such as access to a kitchen, approval for different types of equipment in your space, or meal plan reduction or meal plan exemption, depending on what those sort of medical needs are related to food.
Are Jackson Potter Reese all suite style?
So Jackson, Potter, and Reese are mostly traditional doubles. So every floor in those buildings is doubles lining both sides of the hall with two communal bathrooms, a female identifying bathroom and a male identifying bathroom. So you can reside with all genders on the floor. At the ends of the halls of those buildings are your suites. So again, those suites are 2 or 3 doubles with a common space.
Oh yeah, this is a good one we haven't talked about. Can students bring a car? Can first year students bring a car? Where can they park their car?
So yes, all students are permitted to bring a car regardless of their class status. There are particular parking lots assigned to students, either dependent on their residential space or dependent on their class status. So there are 2 parking lots. Um, specifically available for first year students. One that is between Jackson, Potter, Reese, and Sherrill, so where most of the first year students reside, and then a little ways down St. Clair Street across from Odell's is also an overflow location for first year students. All any student needs to do if they are looking to have their car on campus is they are going to be required to purchase a parking pass, which they do right in the campus safety office. The campus safety office asks a few quick questions to make sure we can identify the car and have it registered with the student, and they just need their one card in order to do so.
All right. Do early decision students get priority?
So yes. What we will do is we will have the list from admissions of our early decision folks. And so we will have that information to be able to mark what their preferences are in their new student housing application and speak with them directly so we can best make sure that those preferences are taken care of. That is also related to their FSEM preferences. It'll go for both.
Yeah. Okay. So there's not a preference for academic performance. That was another question, but there is a preference for early decision students.
Yeah.
What percentage of students participate in Greek life?
Um, Less than 20% of students participate in Greek life. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 fraternities and 1 sorority currently on campus. There are talks of a second sorority at this time. What I like to kind of say about Greek life here at HWS is that if it is something that you are interested in, it is something that you value, we have some great opportunities for you to do so. If Greek life is not something that you're interested in and you don't really want to participate in, you have so many other things to spend your time with that you might even forget that we have it. So you can find it if you want it. You can also not bother if you're not interested, but it's less than 20% of students right now.
Great. So someone asked about a bus to local Target Walmart. So I just dropped the shuttle information page
Perfect.
in there. So yes, there is. There's a shuttle that goes around. So if you click on that, it kind of shows you where it goes and the different dates and timing of that.
The greatest thing is that right across the street from our athletic fields is a Wegmans. The students find out that we have a Wegmans right across the street from campus, and it's the greatest thing ever.
It is. And if you're not aware of the Wegmans yet, it's an amazing grocery store. Um, when do you apply for housing? According to the website, it had said mid-April. Does that sound correct?
So the as soon as you receive your information to sign on and start doing your new student checklist, the as soon as you receive your login information, the application will actually be live for you. So it'll be live as soon as the admissions team tells us to have it live. I would anticipate that you will start doing it by April 1.
Yeah, we're trying to be very ahead of the game and get everything to you all for matriculated students. Just to clarify, you have to be matriculated before you'll have access to that. Um, no, so the same preference does not apply for early action. Early decision is the special, it's a different binding group, kids that came a little bit earlier through the funnel. So that's different. Oh, let's talk about laundry. Where do students do laundry? How does that work?
So laundry is available. There is a laundry room in every residence hall. For the most part, when we're talking about our first year spaces, they're all located on the first floor. Laundry is free for students. It used to not be. It is free for students now. They just have to go down to the laundry room, and when there is a laundry machine open and available, go ahead and do their laundry and then take it upstairs and magically fold it and put it away in their drawers.
Great. Um, okay, so I did just put the FAQ in, which talks about the micro fridge, but do you want to do a quick
Mm.
plug for the micro fridge?
I love the micro fridge. Okay. So students are permitted to have a mini fridge in their room. They themselves and their roommate are welcome to both bring one that is 2.7 cubic feet or smaller. Um, Due to fire safety regulations, our students are not permitted to bring personal microwaves. So the standalone microwaves that you would purchase at Walmart or another store. What they can do if they would like to have access to a microwave in their residence hall is that we work with a local micro fridge company to rent micro fridges here on campus. You sign a contract and you pay them the rental fee directly to them. Oftentimes roommates actually talk about renting a micro fridge and they'll split the cost, which makes it even more cost effective. What that does is it gives you a microwave and a refrigerator. It's a very large refrigerator. It's wonderful. But it follows safety regulations because when the microwave is on, the refrigerator actually turns off and vice versa. So those are permitted. Um, Best thing about it, especially if you end up getting assigned to a room on the third or fourth floor, nobody wants to carry a refrigerator up that floor. So the microfridge company actually comes to campus a couple of days before move-in day and will deliver the microfridge right to your room. So on move-in day, when you show up, it is already there, ready to use. And then they show up at the end of the year and they take it away. So it's one less thing you have to pack, one less thing you have to carry up the stairs.
Do you happen to know the size of the mini fridge they can have? You probably have that information.
The mini
I can
fridge,
see
if
it.
they bring their own mini fridge, it's 2.7 cubic feet or smaller.
Okay, great. Are there any rules about keeping prescription drugs or medicine in your room?
Nope, if you have prescription drugs or medication that you need to have on you for your health and your safety, you are absolutely able to do so if that is a prescription that is under your name.
Where do students receive packages? It's not at their dorm, so.
No, we have the Scandling Center here on campus, which is what I would consider the center hub of campus where our Saga, our maid dining hall, the cafe, which is an additional place to eat, the Student Engagement Center where my office is upstairs. There's a lot of lounge space, a foosball table. Also in the Scandling Center is our post office. It is a full post office. You can purchase stamps, you can ship things out UPS. All of our student mail goes to that post office. They have a mailbox there, and if they receive a package, they actually get an email notifying them that they have received a package, and they will pick it up right there in the Scandling Center. Every student will receive their own mailbox number. Usually that comes out right at the beginning of August, so that way parents can ship things to campus as well.
Do you happen to know the how much the rental fee is for the micro fridge? I don't know if that changes or.
I want to say, I don't know if it was last year. It's approximately 230 to 280, I believe, for the year. Um, it is shorter if you opt in to only rent it for a semester. They'll base it off of the amount of time.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
so
just looked it up
full
at 229. See, 230.
229
There
full
we
year. Yep.
go.
Look, we're
There you
both.
go, Shannon.
Yep. Perfect for the full year. Okay. Do students have to move out of their dorms during winter break?
So during winter break, we do close campus. Most of our resources on campus are also closed, but students are permitted to keep all of their items in their room. They do not have to fully move out. We go through, we give them some instructions to make sure that their windows are shut, their doors are locked, their trash is emptied so they don't come back to a smelly room, but all of their personal items can absolutely stay there for the time that we are away from winter break. So that way they can move in and already be settled for the start of the spring semester.
Yeah. This is a good question. Can you talk about for our students moving in from further away locations where people might want to ship things? How does that work?
So you can ship some items to campus ahead of time. The post office does ask that you have it shipped within the week of move-in day, just because they only have so much space. But you can ship it right to their Scandling mailbox to their name. And then on the day of move-in, the post office is open and you are able to retrieve whatever packages you might need.
Great. And no, they don't have to have their own Wi-Fi or hotspot, right? They're
No, we have Wi-Fi across all buildings on campus. Your login information that you receive after you're matriculated is all that you use to log into our private Wi-Fi network.
and they also get TV, right? Cable.
We have, so we don't have regular cable through the actual cable cord. We have a Spectrum U app,
Yeah.
which using your HWS login will get you all of the regular Spectrum channels, all the sports, all the things.
How long is winter break? Is it like six
When
weeks?
winter break is usually about 5 weeks.
5.
This upcoming year, winter break will be about December 20th through January 21st. So just about a month, between 4 and 5 weeks. There is opportunities for students over winter break. You might hear some students talk about J-term experiences where you can actually, instead of studying abroad for a full semester, you can do a shorter study abroad opportunity for a couple of weeks. There's also opportunities to take some J-term academic classes for credit should you need to.
Okay. And I just put in the majority of the campuses have the extra long twin bed, correct?
The majority of the residence halls are the extra long twin beds.
Yeah.
Some of them still have regular twin. So I always recommend when purchasing linens to purchase the twin XLs because that way you can guarantee it'll fit on any bed for all 4 years, wherever you end up living. Um, so if you are an incredibly tall human,
Mm.
because we've always got a few people almost hitting 7 feet when they come. If you would like to, if you are an incredibly tall person and you want to be guaranteed that you have a twin XL bed, you are welcome to reach out to housing a couple of weeks before the start of the academic year, and we will work with B&G to make sure that you have access to a twin XL bed.
Great. What's the guest visitor policy at the dorm?
So if we are talking about non-HWS guests, we have 72 hours every couple of weeks is what the guest policy is. If you are talking about having friends from other residence halls, that is up to the discretion of you and your roommate how often you want to have other friends in your space. But if you are inviting non-HWS guests, it's 72 hours in one time frame over a 2-week period.
Great. No laptops, unfortunately, are not provided.
Mm-mm.
I just want to quickly talk about, I did put the parent group, the Facebook group, which I know is much more of a, Facebook is much more of a parent thing, right? But it's a really helpful, active group. A lot of these questions, especially if your child's matriculated, um, or as you get further along in the process, if you choose us, it's a great place to search because they answer tons of questions. They post pictures of what their kids' dorm rooms look like if people wanted to see that or whatever. So you might want to just like bookmark it or make a note that that's a really good community to talk with as well.
Mhm. There's also a lot of different a lot of different resource employees are also in that parent Facebook page. I know I'm always answering questions. A lot of my colleagues are always answering questions. It's a really great place to gather information, especially as we get closer to the start of the year. There's also a lot of parents in there of upperclassmen or recent alum that love to give feedback, advice. It's a great resource.
What about dorm decorations? What are you allowed to hang on your wall?
So you are welcome to bring posters, artwork, um, pictures, picture frames. Um, the walls are mostly going to be cement brick, so
Mm.
you can't hammer anything. A lot of students will bring the command strips to avoid any sort of wall damage. But we ask that you leave any tapestry and flags. If you're gonna bring them, they need to be kept on your bed or not bring them at all, because the fire marshal will consider those fabric hangings on the wall as a fire safety concern.
Yep. Laptop you recommend, Mac or PC? We're friendly for both. And this is like a question that is asked in that group all the time, and people love to give you the rundown from what, and you can weigh in, Jenna, but from what I've read, kind of depends on what you're studying too,
Mhm.
right? So depending on, so our students in things like the arts or maybe media, might be more Mac people, and some of those programs might be a little bit better for them. But I think it's probably a split on campus, right?
It's gonna, yeah, it's largely a split depending on what the student is comfortable using. But yes, as Kate said, there are particular majors that those faculty are either gonna suggest PC or Mac based on the software and other technological tools that you may use.
Yeah. And there's a whole IT part of our website, right? And they also have like an FAQ, and there's some really helpful tips on what they recommend. But my son deferred this year for a gap year. The Facebook group is fabulous. Oh, and I've been looking at it this past year. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Laura. Great. Well, that was like a ton of questions. Um, we're happy to stay as long as you need them. So, oh yeah. In regard to laptop, what program does HWS use? For instance, use Canvas. You would know more about that than me. What do?
So students have access to their email is going to be through Outlook.
Mhm.
A lot of our students do use Canvas. Canvas is our education portal that we use for classes. So that's where the students will get all of their syllabi and coursework and grading is done through Canvas specifically.
I don't think I missed. I tried to stay on top of the chat. Holler at me if I missed any of your questions or if there's anything that you think we didn't cover. What do you think the most common problems students and parents have during move-in and during the first couple of months of living on campus? That's a good question.
One thing I will tell you, so we do live in upstate New York. We receive all 4 seasons, but you are moving in August, so it is hot. Um, AC units are only approved if you have a medical need, which again is done through that non-academic accommodation committee. It's only hot for a couple of weeks. Put it on your list to get a box fan or an oscillating fan or something of that sort. That's a big one I often get phone calls about.
Mhm.
Um, and then the other part is for those first couple of months, it can be very overwhelming. That is a brand new experience. College academics is very different from high school academics. Um, and so utilize your resources when you're here. Your CA is a great person to help. There are always tutors and writing colleagues available. And also there are always things to do. One of the first things that we'll ask for you to do when you move in is to download our Cork app. Our Cork app, which is CORQ, um, gives you a rundown of everything scheduled for every single day. So any of the clubs and organizations that might be having an event, any large scale event, any sports game that might be happening, it is all right there. So you can absolutely find things to do and meet new people.
Yeah. So I just also put in our YouTube. We have a thing called HWS Homes, which is where our
Yeah.
current students will give little tours and talk a little bit about some of those spaces that we've been talking about. So that's a good visual for you if you want to see what it looks like. So orientation starts August 12th, and that is move-in day as well, correct?
August 27th.
Yeah, 27th, right? That Wednesday.
Yes. When
Same.
that
One and the same. You
Wednesday.
don't move in ahead of time, then start orientation.
No, the first official scheduled event for orientation is move-in. And then nothing else is scheduled until later in the afternoon to give you some time to settle. And then it is full speed ahead in the afternoon with a lot of resource related things for parents, a lot of fun things for the students to do. Yeah.
What about small appliances? So I know we allow Keurigs. Someone asked about an ice maker or things like that, okay, in the dorms?
Ice makers would be fine. It's the items that aren't approved are the ones with the external heating source. So, I mean, no one has a George Foreman grill anymore. Um, like rice cookers, hot pots, anything with an external heating source is not permitted in a residence hall room. You can have the micro fridge, a Keurig, an ice maker would be fine as well. That's that's the new thing to have.
So someone asked about where these are being stored. So we have a YouTube page for last year's. I think we have created a new one for this year's and new content. I'm not 100% sure if it's live. We've been editing all of them, but we will send out a communication that says, did you miss any of these virtual sessions? This is where you can find them because we've had a lot of great ones and we have a lot of great ones coming up. So definitely make sure to keep checking the calendar, and we'll keep emailing you and informing you about them as well. But security and health services on campus.
Yeah, so briefly, so we do have campus safety. Students call them Campo. if you want to be in the know and sound really cool. So we have a campus safety office. It is one of two campus resources that are available 24/7, 365. There is always multiple campus safety officers on shift. They are accessible via phone, as well as the fact that you will see them constantly patrolling campus. So they are very accessible, very visible. We also have our blue light system scattered throughout campus. So should there be some sort of emergency, they will be able to see a pole with a blue light that they can press the button, and campus safety will be there within moments. We also have a system that the student will be signed up for during orientation that will alert people via text message, phone call, and on your computer should there be any sort of announcement necessary for our entire community. We have a health center here on campus that either the student can bring their own medical insurance through their family, or we do have a health insurance that they can sign up for here through our Hubs Health Center. That they can sign up for any sort of appointment and get, we've got a lot of students going there right now for flu tests. Also available for other testing that they may deem necessary. We also do have, we are a 2-minute drive away from Geneva General Hospital, so that's very accessible. We also have a Well Now urgent care right up the top of St. Clair Street, which is very accessible. And we also have HWS EMS who is on call and accessible for any sort of emergency that may happen.
Great. Are there cleaning supplies available for student use?
So there are always going to be soap and paper towels available in the bathrooms, but students who are looking for cleaning supplies for their own personal room, those they would have to supply themselves based on what sort of cleaning supplies they would prefer. We do have a housekeeping crew. They are fantastic and phenomenal. Our housekeeping crew does clean every communal bathroom every single day. They take out the trash every single day. And they also clean all of our common spaces, our classrooms, etc.
Great. Are there purified water dispensers in the dorms, or do you want to maybe just talk about kind of fill stations?
So we have water bottle fill stations in each of our residence halls, as well as in most academic buildings, and definitely in all of the athletic gymnasium type buildings. It is both a water fountain as well as a water bottle fill station.
Okay.
A lot of students will also choose to put a Brita in their room if they would like, but we do have filtered water fill stations all throughout campus.
So I just dropped in the meal plan page, but do you want to just quickly talk about what's required of our first year students and then kind of how swipes work?
So all of our first year students will be assigned to our Finger Lakes meal plan, which is our unlimited Saga Swipe meal plan. All of our meal plan options consist of Saga Swipes and snack money. Saga Swipes being for our main dining facility, which has our buffet style multi-station. You can't go hungry in there. Our first year students have an unlimited swipe accessibility at our Saga, which is usually one of the top places that students tend to find and meet friends and hang out with friends. And so they have full unlimited access to there. And then our snack money can be used at any of our other locations on campus. So we have a cafe with multiple stations. We also have ABP, which stands for Au Bon Pain, which is a coffee station over in the library. And then we have a late night eatery at the pub, with a lot more of your pub style sort of food available that our snack money can be used for. Um, After your first year, then there are a multitude of different combinations of Saga Swipes and snack money meal plans for students to pick from based on their own sort of preferences and type of residential space that they live in.
Great. Yeah. And if you want to dig in a little bit more detailed, you can go to that link and see kind of what they looked like. Okay.
We just got bubble tea, so you can use your snack money on bubble tea. And we just got Geneva gelato.
Yes.
It is so good.
Yeah. And
A
they
four
put in
$4 Geneva gelato is delicious.
a local coffee
Mhm.
brewery
Yep, there's
shop,
also a local coffee shop downstairs on the
Mixed
first floor of
Roastery.
Scandaling, right around the
Yeah,
corner from Saga too.
very good. Finger Licks Roastery, right? So it's
Mhm.
local too. So also trying to be local in some of our upgrades. Okay, so I think we got through them again. You're all our champs. You've hung with us for an hour. Anything else that Jenna, do you want to quickly put your email in the chat? I think that's great too. So if
Absolutely.
anyone wants to follow up line with you or I think the takeaway at the end of all these sessions, we just don't want you to have unanswered questions or be wondering things. So if we didn't cover something, if you want to talk with us offline, please do so. Reach out, be in touch, and let us know if there are other things that we can help you or your student with. We all hope to see you on campus too. We have a number of admitted student days. We have one coming up next week, March 8th, and we have two more, April 12th, April 26th. So we'd love to see you on campus. We're also doing a number of events out in where you live in your off-campus admitted yield events. So we'll be emailing you and sending you invitations for that. So please keep an eye out. And then join us for more virtual sessions too. Oh, transportation to the city. Look, we got one more question in. Um, you want to talk the bus that goes to New York City? I assume they mean New York City.
So there is local, there's a local Amtrak station in downtown Geneva that will take you to wherever the other Amtrak stations are. Campus Safety is actually really kind and helpful to get you to that train station or bus station. And then we also have for breaks, we work with Our Bus, OURBUS, that they have discounted ticket prices for buses that pick students up right on campus. And those go to a couple of different locations, but especially down to New York City. A lot of our students will utilize that break bus for um, November recess, December, winter break, and then spring break.
Just quickly, there is like a little kind of it's like a Google Map kind of tour or whatever, right? That's how we do our virtual tour. It will take you around, it will show you all the buildings, tell you things about them. So yes, please utilize that. Gets at the portal pickings for free. So yeah, all the matriculated students, I think it's next week we're going to start sending out the new, I don't want to misspeak or mispromise things, but just keep an eye on your email. You'll get the instructions for the onboarding portal, which is different than your regular admissions portal. Zip cars. Oh yeah, zip cars. That's a good.
We do not currently have zip cars. We do have a bike rental, but not zip cars at the moment. I do know that there are conversations around zip cars or other resources such as.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to call it. We love you all. It's 8:04. So thank you so much for your time again. Thank you so much, Jenna, for hanging with us and answering all these questions. You were all great. Hope you found this informative, and we hope to see you on campus or on the road soon. Thank you so much.